everyone. A very good morning to you. Welcome to Atlanta. And for the next round of the Ferrari Challenge North America as we take to this fantastic circuit. And what a venue it is. Absolutely fantastic, and some of the iconic shots of the region that surround this Road Atlanta circuit. And here we can see some of the images of the cars and the drivers preparing for this race weekend that is about to take to the track with the first event, which will be qualifying, of course, for not only our Copa Shell drivers, but also for our Trofeo Pirelli drivers too. So very much looking forward to getting the qualifying session underway. Who will be pole position on the grid? So what a shot that is, and you can see just how undulating this the Road Atlanta circuit is. Some 12 turns, and the final sequence of turns is extraordinary because you run downhill into the final two turns, and you carry so much speed into the final right-hander. My goodness me, it is something very, very exciting. On a track walk, you can only just begin to realize just how that elevation does change. This is our calendar then for 2023, having already competed at Homestead, Miami, and also the Circuit of the Americas. Here we are in Road Atlanta. We'll be heading to Montreal, of course, in support of Formula One. Then it's Sonoma, Road America, and then the Finale Mondiale, the glittering World Finals, which will be held in Mugello in Tuscany right at the end of October. We urge you to follow us on @Ferrari Races. Be part of the social media family. So this is where we are situated in the USA for this race weekend. Road Atlanta welcomes all the drivers. This 4.088 kilometer circuit, which has some 5 left-handers and 7 right-handers, and which first held motor racing in anger in 1970. Here it is then, and the track animation for you, which shows all the sectors and all the turns and just how much of a challenge this track is. Uphill and down dale, I should say. And through the countryside, this track winds its way. The sequence between turns 1 and 5 is awesome. The final part of that, the S's, which is a real joy for the drivers. Speaking to so many of the drivers, they absolutely love that sweeping collection of turns where they carry so much speed in these wonderful 488 Challenge Evo cars. Weather conditions, well, at the moment, I'm sorry to report that it's a bit overcast. There is the potential of some rain to come, maybe a little later today. Air temperature is 20 degrees, track temperature is 23 degrees, and it's not only my voice, but also the wonderful voice, and a real privilege for me, once again, to work with Shay Adam. Good morning to you, Shay.
Good morning, Dave. And you mentioned the weather. Well, I didn't bring my rain jacket or my sunglasses outside, and I'm regretting both because it's a little bit bright and it's a little bit chilly out here. It's going to take an extra lap or two to get the proper amount of heat into the Pirelli tires for this Copa Shell AM qualifying session, which will kick things off. And who do we want to keep an eye on? Well, 2 drivers might just surprise us. Bubbles is the first of which. Jerry Walters back once again this weekend. She's in her bright pink machine, being coached by Joao Barbosa, a man who knows how to win here at Road Atlanta, having done it many, many times before in many different series. But the other man that we need to watch close, that would be Lance Cawley, car number 176, Ferrari of Atlanta. Lance has been fast through all of the practice sessions, whether they've been official or just the test. But here's the kicker. He's been the fastest in Copa Shell this weekend as well. So we need to watch and see if Lance can pull any magic out of the bag and claim his first pole position.
Always lots of intel and insight. Thank you so much, Shay. There the cars and the drivers then champing at the bit to get out there for qualifying to get underway. Of course, it sets the grid for today's race to come a little bit later on. And you can see there are various drivers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 drivers who are really anticipating the lights going green and getting out there on the track. So we will, of course, be bringing you all the action. You're very welcome to join us. Delighted that you are with us here for this round of the Ferrari Challenge North America, our mix of Shell and Shell Am drivers, the first of those to go out on track for qualifying. Of course, we have our Pirelli and Pirelli Am drivers, their qualifying session to come a little later, and then, of course, 2 Hot Rock M races around this Road Atlanta circuit. Very much looking forward to it. It's a beautiful backdrop, as you can see, and that's what we like to see. Cars coming down the pit lane, the clock ticks underway. It's a short, sharp qualifying session for our drivers, then just 15 minutes for them to get the very best they can out of this track and out of their cars. And it becomes very busy as well. And They're looking for track space, ideally, and the opportunity to put in the flying lap that will give them the best possible position on the grid for the race to come this afternoon. We'll bring you all the action. Of course we will, as we watch the car of Jerry Walters, then Ferrari of Vancouver, who's been on the podium once already this season, took that podium in the second race at Homestead, Miami. It was a P3 place. So Jerry Walters then for Ferrari of Vancouver. The really distinctive coverage of that 488 Challenge Evo, a beautiful looking car. So we pick out the runners and the riders then. And as Shay was saying, the 176 car driven by Lance Corley, so quick during the free practice session. So we'll see what Lance is able to do during the course of this qualifying session. But based on what we saw during free practice, he would be a reasonable bet for putting it certainly on the front row within class. We're watching the Copper Shell AM drivers. You can identify them through the black strip that's on the top of their windscreen. If it's a Copper Shell driver, they have a yellow strip across the top of the windscreen. So it's Lance Corley that we're watching now in the 176 car. Of course, it's a relatively home gig for his dealer, Ferrari of Atlanta. And already we only have 13.5 minutes of this session remaining. Now, watching Lance coming through this final turn number 12, as we look at Darren Bernstein now in the 169 car. Now, Darren Bernstein representing Ferrari of Washington comes off the back of a pretty successful weekend. It's been a pretty successful season so far, but a double podium across the weekend at the Circuit of the Americas. And that, of course, always buoys a driver's confidence when they come into the next race weekend, knowing that they come off the back of a really good result. So he'll be hoping to perhaps elevate himself still further upon the steps of the podium during the course of the races to come a little bit later on today. 101 car is Roger Montfort, who we're watching right now. Roger Montfort then in that 101 car representing Ferrari of Central New Jersey. And there is Roger. I was sharing a cup of tea with him earlier on over the course of the weekend. It was yesterday, actually. And Roger, a very talented driver indeed. And one certainly to keep your eyes on during the course of the weekend, as indeed is Jeffrey Nunberg. Jeff then with a podium at COTA and hoping to go a step further on the podium during the course of this weekend. So pretty much all the cars out there on track, perhaps with the exception of Lisa Clark. Just looking at my timing screen, I think Lisa Clark, she now makes her way down the pit lane and out onto track. So there we have it, all 12 of the cars that are represented in this particular qualifying session are out there on track. So the 2.54 miles become very busy with lots of these wonderful cars, including the very lady that I was talking about just a few moments ago for Ferrari of Beverly Hills. That's Lisa Clark, a very busy racing lady. She was competing in Austria just last weekend in the Ferrari Challenge Europe in Spielberg, and it's a very undulating circuit, much like Road Atlanta, really, although the weather conditions were utterly atrocious last weekend, where it rained for pretty much the whole weekend. However, Lisa was there and racing and loving her racing. So Lance Corley, we run the clock on him right now. Let's get some live times for you and see who can do what. At the moment, at the top of the chart is Jeff Nunberg, who has posted a 1:35.565. Expect the times to come down a bit. What they're doing is just generating some temperature into the Pirelli tyres, and the track will rubber in a bit. We've had a bit of track activity with Competizione GT cars and Club Challenge cars out on track. So Lance Corley now is second fastest. So it's Nunberg from Corley, and then it is the 124 car of Steve Czech, who is currently third fastest ahead of Neil Langberg. And then it's Cleveland, Bernstein, Walters, Montfort, Williams, Perasquia, who was also racing in Austria, incidentally, Lisa Clark and Dana Goodwin. Then that's the way it looks at the moment as Jeff Nunberg goes to the top of the chart with a 1:31.565. How is this man going to respond? Lance Corley, as we watch him through the final turns, then carrying as much speed through turn number 12 as he possibly can, and heads to break the timing beam. And this is going to be a good time from Lance Corley as he goes P1. Look at that, a 4.8 second taking away from the previous time of Jeff Nunberg. He goes with a 1:26.753 now, 1:26, 1:25. That's more where we expect the cars to be. So Lance Corley to the top of the chart then. For Ferrari of Atlanta with a 1:26.753. Jeff Nunberg has responded with a 1:27.661. He's second fastest, ahead of Roger Montfort then, who is third fastest at the moment. So expect these times over the remaining 9 3/4 minutes to continue to come down. Here's Neil Lamberg then, Ferrari South Bay then, and a beautiful looking 488 Challenge Evo, as indeed is this awesome looking car, which is driven by Bruce Cleveland. Yeah, the orange and blue livery works so well for Ferrari of Silicon Valley then. P11 at the moment, target time 1:26.753, a big improvement. He is now fifth fastest. It's Corley from Nunberg, from Langberg, from Czech. They are the top four at the moment, with Bruce Cleveland then P5. This is Lisa Clark in the 127 car. Now Lisa is currently 11th fastest. Expect this to be an improvement on Lisa's previous time as she rounds the final 2 turns. Now this is the final turn. Again, carrying as much speed as possible across the timing line. Target time of 1:26.753. It's a 1:26.904, within 1.5 tenths of Lance Corley. So the Ferrari Beverly Hills driver, Lisa and I were having quite a laugh last weekend because I said she's cool, calm, collected, and also very quick. And that proves to be the point right now. This is the 101 car we watch of Roger Montfort then. And Roger has 2 more turns to do. He's done the first of those. Here comes the second. He's P8 at the moment, target time of 1:25.701, and it's a 1:27.630 for Roger. That gives him P3 in the chart at the moment. It's Corley from Clark, from Montfort, from Nunberg. That's the way it looks right now. Here indeed then is the 128 car that we see, and this is driven by David Williams. And David Williams currently at the bottom of the pack, as it were, P12, but expect an improvement from David Williams right now as he breaks the timing beam, the laser that shoots across the track there, and it's not an improvement. So David Williams stays where he is. Who else is improving? Bruce Cleveland has just moved up a spot to P3 with a good time of 1:27.598. So as we expected towards the back end of this session, this is when the times are going to come down, and as we watch the 146 car of Dana Goodwin now heading around this Road Atlanta circuit, it's a P2 for the gentleman driver of Ferrari of Newport Beach, then a 1:26.869. So that pushes Lisa Clark back down to P3 as we watch Jeff Nunberg. How is he going to respond here? Jeff Nunberg for Ferrari of Central New Jersey. Target time in purple at the bottom of your screen, as you can see in the graphics. It's a 1:25.701. We're not going to be there, I don't think. It's a 1:28.725. So Jeff Nunberg stays where he is then in P6 at the moment. No one at the moment is being able to touch Lance Corley. He's the only driver into the 125s as Jerry Walters then crosses the timing line with a 1:27.676. It's P7 at the moment. And there we can see, I think it's Roger Montfort that's gone around there. Sure enough, he has. Now, thankfully, he's able to get the car into a position of safety and continue on his way as we pick up on Steve Czech now for Ferrari of Rancho Mirage. Awesome dealer name, that is. So Steve Czech then, 9th fastest. He's also targeting that 1:25.701 and breaks the timing beam with a time of 1:27.548. Now, Bruce Cleveland has just gone P2 for Ferrari of Silicon Valley with a 1:26.438. And this is Lisa Clark also looking and hoping for an improvement. It's currently P5 for the Ferrari Beverly Hills driver. And here she comes then around the final turn then, carrying as much speed as possible in these 488 Challenge Evo cars, which are a joy to drive. And Lisa Clark crosses the timing line, and it's a non-improvement from Lisa, so she stays P5 but will go again. So it's Corley, Cleveland, Montfort, the top 3 at the moment in our qualifying session for the Copa and drivers that are out there on track this qualifying session live from Road Atlanta then. Absolutely delighted to bring you this qualifying session. The drivers getting out there. Oh, a little bit of a wobble there. Did you see that from the Jeff Nunberg car? Just the front end of the car getting a little bit loose, but perfectly controlled, as you would expect from a talented driver like him. 5.5 minutes. Where does the time go? It goes by in a flash. Here's Bruce Cleveland then, Ferrari Silicon Valley, 2nd fastest at the moment, chasing down that time of Lance Corley. Bruce's previous best time of 1:26.438. Under the bridge he comes then, through the final turn. And what a lovely overhead shot that is, crossing the timing line now, and it's a 1:27.267, so a non-improvement for the Ferrari Silicon Valley driver. And Lance Corley, who showed so much promise during the free practice sessions, the speed, the pace that he has, quite clearly evident for us all to see. And he has converted that free practice pace into qualifying pace as well, with a 1:25.701. Lisa Clark now, and a 1:25.953. Now, Lisa Clark becomes only the second driver to put the lap times into the 1:25. I said when we saw her across the timing line last time around that she's going to target an improvement, and she's certainly delivered that, a 1:25.953. Now, basically, that puts her within 2.5 tenths of Lance Corley. So all of a sudden, the fight for P1 pole position is on now during this qualifying session. So we watch Lisa Clark through the S's then, and climbing uphill then, the 488 Challenge Evo. It looks gorgeous and sounds great too, and with Lisa Clark at the wheel, it is a potent racing machine, no question about that. As we're getting the sector time on screen, you can see the build-up of time. Now, there is traffic ahead of her, but it's far enough away where I don't think it's going to impede or impact upon this particular lap for Lisa Clark, so this could be still further improvement. So just two drivers in the 1:25s, Lance Corley and Lisa Clark. And it's Lisa Clark that we're watching right now. About to close out the lap then. We're about 15 seconds away from the conclusion of this lap. Assuming that Lisa puts in a time that she's done previous. Climbs uphill then, and under the bridge and through the second from last turn. Now we're at the last turn. A 1:25.701 is the target, and Lisa does not improve on that occasion, so the best lap was the last lap. Now, Lance Corley has parked the car in the pit lane, of course, trying to maintain tyre longevity, if you like, and to keep the tyres to be used in the race. Bruce Cleveland, that we're watching right now for Ferrari Silicon Valley, is currently third fastest. The time set to give him that P3 on the grid was a 1:26.438. So it's Corley from Clark, from Cleveland, Godwin, Montfort, Czech, Nunberg, Walters, Langberg, Bernstein, Pereskoya, and Williams. They are the 12 Coachella Am racers, and that's where they sit in terms of our qualifying chart at the moment. We're watching Bruce Cleveland then, Ferrari Silicon Valley, currently third fastest, would like to elevate himself into either P2 or P1. Is he going to be able to do that? Time will tell, and we're not far away from knowing that, and I would suggest not. I think he's bailed this lap and has slowed down, and sure enough, indicates right and comes into the pit lane. So we're not going to see an improvement from Bruce, and we're not going to see him back out again, I would suggest, because it would be utterly futile with only 2 minutes left on the clock for him to be able to improve that time. So I'm pretty... there are still cars out there, and still 8 or 9 of them, including this car, from the 128 machine of David Williams then. And David is currently 11th fastest. Louis Pereskoya is at the bottom of the pack, and he's in the pit lane, so I'm not expecting Louis to be back out again necessarily in this quali session. Still parading around the track is the Jeffrey Nunberg car. Jeff Nunberg currently is P8 for Ferrari of Central New Jersey. I think he's winding the car up now, not for this lap, but for the next one to come. You use the final third of the lap, if you like, to really set yourself up and get the trajectory perfect, pinpoint accurate, to set yourself up for a hot lap, which is precisely what Jeffrey is on white now. So we will watch this as it is Lance Corley and Lisa Clark, who are P1 and P2 at the moment, with Cleveland, Goodwin, Walters completing the top 5. And I would suggest to you that the pace we're seeing from the 141 car of Jeffrey Nunberg means that he is not on a hot lap now, despite my protestations that that's precisely what he would be doing. I don't think he is. And he's got 40 seconds to get to the timing line to put another lap in if he would so desire. Bear in mind that anyone that crosses the timing line, providing the checkered flag has not come out, they can complete another lap. The session is not over until all the cars have finished, and if you're one of those that crosses the timing line before the clock counts down to 0 and the checkered flag comes out, then of course you can continue on your way and do another lap. But Going to cross the timing line just in time to be able to put another lap in is the car of Dana Goodwin then. Fourth fastest at the moment, traffic ahead, but this will be certainly the last lap that Dana Goodwin can do. So we will see if it is going to be an improvement. The checkered flag has come out, the clock has stopped, so the session is effectively over. But if you cross the timing line with even a millisecond still on the clock, that means you can go again, which is precisely what the Ferrari of Newport Beach driver is doing. So hoping to elevate from P4 when there's kind of nothing else on the track. He's got completely clear space ahead of him. Perfect opportunity then to get the max out of the 488 Challenge Evo and go for a position that is, I mean, at the moment it's a second row start within class, which is very, very creditable indeed. But of course, if you can improve upon that, then that would be brilliant. It's Corley from Clark from Bruce Cleveland, and then Goodwin then for Ferrari of Newport Beach, accelerating out of that right-hander right now, climbing up the hill through the kink, which is a left-hander. This is Dana Goodwin that we are watching. Ferrari Challenge, it is the Copashell AM qualifying that we've enjoyed. Short, sharp 15-minute session. Then it will be the Copashell drivers out there for their qualifying session. And we get a high drone shot here of Dana Goodwin then, carrying as much speed into that sequence of turns as possible before riding up the hill, then underneath the bridge and then down for the final two turns. Target time is a 1:25.701. We're running the clock on Dana Goodwin and crosses the timing line with a 1:27.483. So a non-improvement, stays P4 for our grid to come for the race a little bit later on today. So there we have it then. Promise you, short and sharp, and that's precisely what it is. Love qualifying in Ferrari Challenge because it is very dramatic by virtue of the fact you get so little time to put in your best lap and guarantee your position on the grid. Of course, always a rolling start in the Ferrari Challenge. Very much looking forward to the races to come. So also coming into the pit lane right now is Jerry Walters, Ferrari of Vancouver then, who was missing from the last round of the Ferrari Challenge at the Circuit of the Americas. But a reasonable qualifying effort indeed. It's P5 for the Jerry Walters car and driver combo, which has worked so well around this Road Atlanta circuit thus far this morning. What other cars have we still got out on track? Well, of course, the Dana Goodwin car is now on a slowdown lap before coming back into the paddock. But the session is completed. It is over, and we'll be bringing you the full and official results of that qualifying in due course. But we watched the beautiful 488 Challenge Evo car of Dana Goodwin then making its way back to the paddock and assembly area here at Road Atlanta. Meantime, there you can see the cars standing by to get back out on track for their qualifying session to come a little bit later on. And beautiful opportunity to look at some of the cars that are also on display here in the paddock. If you're joining us at Road Atlanta in person, or we would urge you to get into the paddock. I have to say, if you're part of the Ferrari family, you're really welcome to go in and take a look at some of these gorgeous cars that are there. We have autograph sessions and podium ceremonies and all sorts of activities going on in the paddock. So if you're here in person, welcome to you. So from that qualifying session then, it was Lance Corley, the best of the lot with a 1:25.70. Well done, Lance. Lisa Clark, a very good qualifying from Lisa, P2. Then it's Bruce Cleveland, Dana Goodwin, Jerry Walters, Roger Montfort, Jeff Nunberg, Steve Check, Neil Lamberg, and Darren Bernstein. They are the top 10. So it's the first 5 rows of the Copashell that we're looking at there, with David Williams and Lou Periscoya then P11 and P12. Pole position then, and the Rotiform Pole Position Award will be going to Lance Corley. Very good job done by Lance. He showed that promise during free practice, and he did convert it into the pace needed for qualifying to give himself the best possible start for the race to come a little bit later. As I look from our studio, which is on the start-finish straight here at Road Atlanta up in the sky, which is full of cloud, I have to say, and it's quite warm, but it is very, very overcast. Yesterday we had quite a bit of sunshine, but today that has not been the case so far. So this Road Atlanta circuit then is, oh, look at that. What a vision of beauty that you can see in the paddock here. 2 awesome looking cars. you just see the aero strip down there on the front of the 488 car. Wonderful to look at, and these cars all on display for the benefit of those people that are here. And there you can see the T car of Jeff Nunberg, the 141 car, similar livery to the car, of course, that he is in or was using in the qualifying session. A number of drivers do have a T car, which is kind of like a spare car, a training car, if you like, which they use. But of course, it can be called upon should it be necessary, should anything go awry. But very rarely does that happen. So right now, let's get our Shell drivers out there on track for their 15-minute qualifying session, and the light has gone green at the end of the pit lane. The green flag is showing from the starters rostrum that I can see from our studio here, and we get our Shell drivers out there on track for their short, sharp 15-minute qualifying session. All the cars making their way out onto the Road Atlanta track then, and there we can see the 133 car of Matt Dalton climbing through the S's right now. And we will be bringing you, of course, the entire session in full to see who does what and where. Time of 1:25.701 that was set by our fastest Shell Am driver, Lance Corley. We'll see times similar to that and potentially even quicker as well from our Shell drivers, but we will see how the next 14 minutes of this plays out. This is Ferrari Challenge North America. We're looking at the 173 car of Cyril Choksi. Really good time with Cyril and Lance Corley yesterday, where we were sharing a small glass of lemonade, and both Cyril Choksi and Lance Corley will be competing in the support race at the Le Mans 24-hour this year, where Ferrari Challenge has got star billing on the support of that weekend to come in just 2 or 3 weekends' time, if memory serves me correctly. So both Cyril and Lance going to be there. In fact, there just before they head off to Montreal. Lance Corley, what a star you are. He is with Shea Adam right now.
Well, for Lance Corley, this is a new experience. Pole position. You have been right there and thereabouts, knocking on the door of a podium. No better place to start than first, is there?
I'm very excited and very pleased, and I want to thank my team, Ferrari of Atlanta and Speedborn Racing, and my coach, Jeff Westphal. Amazing what he's been able to do. I was 4 seconds slower 4 years ago here when I didn't have Jeff coaching me. So, and the grip was good today. So yeah.
Do you have Nancy and the family with you this weekend?
Nancy's here in the trailer. She watches on the iPad, and I'm sure she's looking forward to seeing me here in a few minutes. But I'll come to you first to talk.
Thank you. We appreciate it. Congratulations on a pole.
Thank you very much, and it's wonderful. Appreciate everything Ferrari does for us. Thank you. Bye-bye.
What about that, Shay? That you've been considered more important than Nancy at this particular moment. Well done to Lance, and Nancy's a lovely lady as well. So Lance, well done to him as he credits his driver coach Jeff Westphal then, who's really helped Lance in his racecraft and his speed and his pace, and he's very self-deprecating and very willing to thank the team and his coach as well. But of course he does have to pedal the car out there, and that's precisely what he's done. He pedaled it to P1 in Shell Am. We're watching Cyril Choksi right now, Ferrari of Denver driver then, and Cyril then another very, very good driver. Has taken a win, of course, this year. In fact, when we opened the 2023 campaign at Homestead, Miami, the very first race, Cyril was P1, and he's P1 right now in class for Shell drivers. Now, he is a way down on the time of Lance Corley, as around has gone Cameron Root, and Cameron Root is another hot shot in the Ferrari Challenge for Ron Tonkin Gran Turismo, but he gets it pointing back in the right direction again, and still great stuff to come from Cameron Root, I feel sure. Let's go on board here, because it provides a completely different vantage point, and Jan Bernier that we're with right now, the Copa Shell driver of car number 132, has podiumed this year, and that also in the very first race of the season at Homestead, Miami. So we're expecting good things from Jan Bernier potentially during this qualifying session to propel himself up the order as much as he can for the grid to come from race 1 a little bit later on, as we watch the 132 car of Ferrari of Seattle climbing uphill right now. And you can see how undulating, and I can see from the corner of my eye that we've got a red flag being flown by the starters roster. I'm not seeing that up on screen yet, so we await final confirmation, but sure enough, there it is at the top of the screen now. We have got a red flag, and given to understand it might be Ray Acosta that's in strife. Here we can see the cars then, and this is what can happen in the qualifying session. It's a short, sharp session, and I talked to a number of drivers about this, and what Frank Szczesniak, who I was in discussion with yesterday, we can see in the 122 car. Drivers, when it comes to qualifying, they have a modus operandi, if you will. And a number of drivers will go out and bank an early lap at the earliest opportunity. And what that does, it does give them that banker, if you like, which means that they've got a lap time bagged up, if you will. Of course, they'll still try and improve during the course of the session, but one never knows what can happen during the session. And as we've seen here with a red flag, the session has been suspended. All cars will make their way back into the pit lane awaiting the greens. And there you can see them beginning to join the queue, which will form now at the start of the pit lane. So, red flag suspends the session for Copa Shell drivers here at Road Atlanta in their qualifying session. And let's take a look here as we can see the reason why that pirouetting car of Ray Acosta. And now the teams will recover that car as quickly as possible so that we can get the session back underway. Ray Acosta is out of the car and perfectly okay, as you can see there, reinforcing the integral safety of these 488 Challenge Evo cars. Ray is out and Ray is perfectly okay. The car has sustained some damage, and the team of the collection will be working very, very hard to get that car back out, certainly for the race. I rather think that from a qualifying point of view, his qualifying is done and dusted, but from a race point of view, of course, they will do everything they can to get that car back out on track. So very unfortunate. These things happen, of course they do, and Ray Acosta is perfectly okay. Meantime, we can see some 7 cars lined up at the pit lane, ready to get back out there. As we had that session suspended, Cyril Choksi for Ferrari of Denver was the quickest of our Shell drivers with a 1:26.378. Then it was Jan Bernier with a 1:30.084 ahead of Eric Marston of Ferrari Beverly Hills, a 1:38.74. Had a super chat with Eric Marston yesterday, and yeah, we will get the session away again as quickly as we possibly can. So lots and lots going on here at Road Atlanta over the course of this Ferrari Challenge weekend. And if you're watching us and you're within a shot of Road Atlanta, come down and give us a look. We'd love you to be here. There's lots going on. The paddock is a wonderful, colourful place with lots of Ferraris on display and autograph sessions and all sorts of festivities going on. And if you're within shot, then do come down and give us a look. If you're not, then we're delighted that you're watching us live. And we will bring you all the action from qualifying and, of course, all the action from the races as well. Ferrari Challenge. It is a wonderful one-make series that spans not only the USA, yes, the Ferrari Challenge North America, which we're on the 3rd round of, the Ferrari Challenge UK, also competing this weekend at a track in the north of the country, which is called Alton Park. Delighted that I'm in Atlanta rather than Alton Park, and delighted to be alongside Shea Adam once again.
Dave, just look at the timing screen for a second, because Cyril Choksi is the pole sitter in Copa Shell right now, provisionally, but 3rd overall. So does that mean that our pole position would go the way of Lance Cawley, who would love to start at the front of the grid overall for the race? Or does it mean that the grid would be reverted, Copa Shell cars ahead of all the Copa Shell AM cars? I need to know who to give this lovely pole award to, because it's a nice trophy, and it goes to the overall pole sitter for the race. Is that going to be Lance Cawley or Cyril Choksi? Or are we going to get back to green and it'll be someone completely different?
Well, who knows? Who knows? They are. Those awards are absolutely lovely. You're quite right. Thank you so much, Shay. Delighted to be sharing broadcast duties with you across the course of this weekend. Okay, we've waxed lyrical about this Road Atlanta circuit. Let's take a look at it now from an onboard perspective. And there's no one better than the Trofeo Pirelli driver, Matt Kurjewski, to really give us a high-speed look at Road Atlanta.
Hi, I'm Matt Kurjewski, driver of the number 21 Ferrari Challenge 488 Evo for Scuderia Corse and Ferrari of Beverly Hills. And I'm going to take you for a lap around Road Atlanta. Crossing the start-finish line, going into turn 1, high-speed, rolling speed corner. Downshift to 4th gear, carry as much rolling speed as possible. Up the hill into 2 and 3, where you'll have a quick brake, hard right. Back to the accelerator as quickly as possible to carry as much speed into the S's, a very fast and free-flowing part of the track where you can either make up or lose a lot of speed. Turn 5, carefully drive over the exit curve down the straightaway to turn 6, where you'll have a hard braking zone with a quick brake release for a short drive to turn 7. Exiting turn 7, get the wheel open as quickly as possible, drive to the exit curb, and take the very long straightaway to turns 12A and B. At the end of this straightaway, we'll carry roughly nearly 170 miles an hour into turn 12A. Braking point, the 300 board, very hard brake, quick release, and carry as much rolling speed from 12A to 12B, or you'll drive up and over the hill, under the bridge, applying to drive down into the final corner of 12, back to the start-finish line. And that is the lap at Road Atlanta.
Thank you so much. What perfect timing that is as Matt brings that hot lap to a close. So we go back to qualifying. Now, what is critical here is as we get the green, we have merely 4.5 minutes left on the clock. It's going to become a very, very busy track. Track space is going to be at a premium. And those that have banked an early lap, like Cyril Choksi, like Jan Bernier, like Eric Marston, may prove to have played the trump card in this qualifying session. Let's see. The best that any of the drivers is going to get out of this are, in fairness, they have reset the time now and given us now 9.5 minutes of qualifying. So I take back everything that I was saying. The powers that be in race control have reset the clock with 9 minutes. Even so, going to be a big ask for these drivers now. They've got to redial themselves in, bring those tires back up to temperature again, find the track space, and go for it all over again. You psych yourself up, and when you go to suspension, of course, all of your preparatory work has to be done all over again. So we go back to qualifying then for our Shell drivers. At the moment, the very best of those is Cyril Choksi. Now he's third fastest overall when you impact and consider the impact, rather, of our Shell AM drivers. The fastest of those, Lance Corley and Lisa Clark, are still the fastest of qualifying across Shell altogether at the moment. We're on board with Jan Bernier. Brilliant on-board shot as Jan Bernier then is really beginning to build the speed now. That was very much an installation lap. Here you can see from on board, and we saw it with Matt Kojeski a few moments ago, you really have to hold on tight to that car through the final right-hander, and he goes for it now. Jan Bernier, this will be the start of what will be a hot lap for him. He's already second fastest within class with a 1:30.084, I beg your pardon. He'll be hoping to improve still further. He's got space ahead of him, but someone has gone off, because going through the cloud of dust goes Jan Bernier. That will have impacted the lap. That means that lap is ruined for him now, because visibility was at a premium, and there is no question about it. That will have tarnished his lap. So Jan Bernier is going to have to build it all up and go for it all over again. Didn't quite see who kicked up that huge plume of dust. Here we can take a look. There's Frank Szczesniak then in the 122 car. It was responsible for, it was like a James Bond-esque special switch in the car, wasn't it, that he switched on and made visibility for all those that were following non-existent. Of course, he didn't do it maliciously, but good to see that Frank managed to keep the car pointing in the right direction. This is Cyril Choksi, the Ferrari of Denver driver, who is currently the fastest and is going again because although he's fastest within class, he now goes fastest overall with a 1:24.380. Brilliant lap from Cyril Choksi, followed by Matt Dalton with a 1:25.344. So we are seeing lots and lots of improvements now. Frank Szczesniak in his P3, Jan Bernier is P4, Eric Marston is P6 right now as Cameron Root goes to P3, and Mike Luley is P5 now. You can see the order on the left-hand side of the screen as the times come tumbling down across this qualifying session for our Ferrari Challenge Copa Shell drivers. So Lance Corley's brief being right at the top of the chart overall regrettably means that he has been pushed back 4 places now, but still remains, of course, P1 within class, which is brilliant stuff. So it's Cyril Choksi, and now it is Thor Hagen who goes to P2 with a time of 1:25.231. Now, still, the only driver that's put it into the 1:24s across the entirety of the session is Cyril Choksi, the Ferrari of Denver driver, with a 1:24.380. That is a full 8.5 tenths quicker than Hagen. Then Hagen at he's 1:25.231. Frank Szczesniak, then we're running the clock on at the moment. Frank is currently P6 with a previous time of 1:27.828. So there's the target time in purple on the screen. It's a 1:24.380. And Frank Szczesniak then with a 1:25.780. That makes him P5 in class, P6 overall. Here comes Cameron Root then in the 199 car. Now Cameron Root then desperate to get right to the top of the chart. At the moment he's P7 in class. Still more to come, I would suggest, from the Ron Tonkin Gran Turismo driver, Cameron Root, who of course had a pretty satisfactory time of it at the Circuit of the Americas last time out with a P2 and a P5 in the races, and he wants the best possible grid starting position that he can find. At the moment it's P7 on the grid for Cameron Root within class. Cyril Choksi and David Voronin then for Foreign Cars Italia now goes P2 with a 1:25.214. And we ride on board with Jan Bernier for Ferrari of Seattle to take us around a qualifying lap once again, or the remainder of this lap. And pretty clear tarmac he has ahead of him for Ferrari of Seattle. So climbs uphill over the crest, then carrying as much speed as you can. The 488 Challenge Evo power plant being maxed out then as Jan Bernier now begins this little downhill section. And let's split the screen so you can see the inputs from inside the car and how they relate to what the car is doing out there on the track. I love this split screen. So we're approaching the final 2 turns here now. And Jan Bernier carrying as much speed as he can. You've got to be oh so brave. You just kiss the inside and then kiss the outside through turn number 12. And Jan Bernier then crosses the timing line. It's and as Jan Bernier crosses the timing line, Cameron Root does go quickest. Now, I was extolling the virtues of Cyril Choksi being the only driver into the 1:24s. Well, Frank Szczesniak has done that as well, but Cameron Root has taken a full 6.5 tenths out of Cyril Choksi's time and given us the first time in the 1:23s. A 1:23.734 from this driver that is centre screen and centre stage right now. Cameron Root on a mission in this qualifying session, of which we have 3 minutes remaining. So Cameron Root then for Ron Tonkin Gran Turismo has delivered a 1:23.734. The top 7 drivers are Root, Choksi, Szczesniak, Voronin, Hagen, then it's Dalton and Jan Bernier then. And there's about a 1.5 seconds that splits the top 7 in Shell at the moment. And right at the top of the chart, as you can see from the left-hand side of your screen, is this driver, Cameron Root then, with a 1:23.734. Looked pretty potent during the free practice sessions, and that potency has played out also in the qualifying thus far. What have we got left? 2.5 minutes. As he goes for an improvement then, and it's a 1:23.394 now. Cameron is really going for it. A brilliant job done, and he's elevated the gap, if you like, between P1 and P2 to very nearly a second. It's 0.986. Here we can see the foreign cars. Italia driver of the 177 car, David Voronin then. David, another driver that had a very, very respectable showing in the last round of the Ferrari Challenge at the Circuit of the Americas, and comes here buoyed with the confidence of the pace that he knows he has in the car, and he's targeting that 1:23.394 as he crosses the timing line, and he goes with a 1:24.355, which puts him now P2. And Cyril Choksi, who banked that early lap with a 1:24.380, now finds himself P3. 2 100ths between Cameron Root and between David Voronin and Cyril Choksi for P2 and P3. Cameron Root has wiped the floor with everybody with a 1:23.394, which is as near as makes no difference, a full second quicker than anyone else. Here comes Frank Szczesniak, currently P4 in class, and Frank Szczesniak then, and he delivered a 1:24.921, and Cameron Root, David Voronin, Cyril Choksi, Frank Szczesniak, then it's for Hagen. They are the top 5 with just under a minute remaining in this qualifying session for our Copa Shell drivers. We've seen the Shell Am drivers out qualifying first of all, and now it is our Shell drivers that have taken to the track. I can see from my vantage point in my studio where I'm situated on the main straight, where Cameron Root is satisfied with what he's done. He's parked the car up in the pit lane right now, and with half a minute remaining and a time of 1:23.394, I think he can be pretty confident that P1 is going to stay his, but never say never, because nothing is done and dusted until the checkered flag has flown and the session is over. So it's Cameron Root as Michael Lully then for Ferrari of Ontario that we're watching right now, who is 8th fastest within class. As you can see, he's not at quali pace. Perhaps he's, with the clock down to 0, realizes that probably the time is not there for any improvements to come, and I don't think he's on an improving lap. I could be wrong. So here is Mike Lully then, a very long-time campaigner in the Ferrari Challenge, and very welcome as well. And the distinctive yellow and red 488 Challenge Evo of Mike Lully then. He's just got to go under the bridge and 2 more turns to do before completing the lap. And that is what he's going to do. He's not indicating right and coming into the pit lane, so he's hoping that this is going to be an improvement. It's P8 in class, and it stays P8. So, despite valiant effort, no improvement there. So the best of the Shell drivers, Cameron Root then with that awesome 1:23.394 time, ahead of David Voronin and Cyril Choksi. They are the top 3 as the number 1, 2, 3 car of Robert Williams crosses the timing line and breaks the beam. And that's just about it. I can't see anyone else that's setting any times. So our David Voronin best lap gives him P2, a 1:23.992, which came right at the end of the session. So it got him within 6/10ths of Cameron Root. So it is Cameron Root, David Voronin, Cyril Choksi, Frank Szczesniak, the front 2 rows, if you like, of the grid that will come a little bit later for our Copa Shell race. Here we can see the 122 car of Frank Szczesniak for Ferrari of Austin then. And Frank Szczesniak then in P4 pulls into the pit lane. The Copa Shell qualifying done and dusted. We have Trofeo Pirelli qualifying to come as well. This is the 132 car of Jan Bernier. And Jan then, who is 7th fastest overall. That's also 7th fastest in class. And here we can see the narrowing entrance into the pit lane, which is where Jan is bringing his car right now. Now, the big screen that you can see in the middle of the dashboard here is what gives the drivers the rear view perspective. They don't have a rear view mirror because there's a safety. There is a safety partition, if you like, behind the driver, so no rear view mirror. Indeed, they have that bulkhead and therefore have a screen because the cameras replay what you can see behind drivers all prefer it. They say it gives you better advantage. Cameron Root then P1. Well done, Cameron, a 1:23.394 ahead of David Voronin, who right at the end of the session put it P2. Cyril Choksy P3. Then it's Frank Szczesniak, Thor Hagen, Matt Dalton, Jan Bernier, Michael Luley, Eric Marston, Robert McWilliams. They are the top 10 from our Copa Shell qualifying, with Ray Acosta, who of course we saw the very early stages of the qualifying, and unfortunately for Ray, the car was in the barriers and therefore the session was suspended, and therefore he is P11 within class. So that's it. Copa Shell qualifying done and dusted. And Cameron Root, another brilliant showing from Cameron. He's with Shea Adam right now.
And another first on the third weekend of Ferrari Challenge for 2023. Cameron Root, you've had a fast lap, you've had a race win, now you've got a pole position. How hard were you pushing for that?
It was a goal, and we executed the plan. Very happy.
Now, you're working with Coach Thomas Merrill. He's had a lot of success at this track. How has he been able to help you come up to speed a little bit quicker?
He is a master at data. He's really good at the camera. The computer, and he goes through every little bit of data, and we find where he can find a tenth of a second through every corner, and he's so fast, and I just try to be as good as he is, and he's a great teacher.
Well, congratulations. First trophy of the day. Hopefully not the last.
Hey, Cameron looks well happy with that, and nice that he's crediting his driver coach. As he says, he looks at all the data and where you can find a 100th or a 10th. That's, he says, I try and be as good as him. Right, straight into our Trofeo Pirelli qualifying now here at Road Atlanta, and we're on board with the number 3 car of the Trofeo Pirelli AM driver. Right now, heading around this Road Atlanta track, you can hear him on and off the accelerator pedal as Brian Cook just brakes, and the more you brake, of course, the heat is generated through the braking system is dissipated through the rims onto the tyres. It brings the tyres up to speed, getting everything up to where you want it to be. There's going to be some 10 of our Trofeo Pirelli AM drivers out there for their qualifying session. And already the first 2 minutes of that qualifying session have gone. And this is what I love about qualifying here. It's short, sharp, and it goes oh so quickly. So we pick up on the cars then that are making their way out. Number 5 car of Michael Mathis for Ferrari of Central New Jersey. Missed out on the first round at Homestead, Miami, but came back with a plum at the Circuit of the Americas with a P10 and a P6 in the races. So cars then making their way around this track as we pick up on the Ferrari of Ontario driver Mark Musso. Certainly never one to bet against us, taking a couple of wins in the season so far, one at Homestead Miami and sharing it out equally with another one at the Circuit of the Americas as well. So a potential star to come this afternoon when it comes to the racing for Ferrari Challenge in our third round of our North American series here at Road Atlanta before we head off to Montreal in support of Formula One, and then it's Sonoma, Road America, and of course to Tuscany then for the finale Mondiale, which will be at Mugello in Italy. John Horsch, the Ferrari of Vancouver driver, we watch right now in the number 67 car. Was missing from Circuit of the Americas. He's back in full effect though here at Road Atlanta. First time to come from Mark Musso is a 1:29.082. Expect those times to come tumbling down during the 11.5 minutes we have remaining of this qualifying session for our Trofeo Pirelli AM drivers. You can identify whether they're a Pirelli driver or an AM driver through the strip across the top of the windscreen. For our Pirelli AM drivers, it is a white strip, as you can see. So Omar Balkasoon now goes fastest with a 1:25.661. We're following Michael Porter then for Ferrari of Seattle, who is currently 4th fastest, having banked earlier on a 1:30.018. Omar Balkasoon. Then it is Horsch, then Musso, then Chuck Whittle. He's P4 ahead of Porter, Rothberg, Cook, Davis, Mathis, and Wang. They are the top 10 at the moment, but meaningful times have come from 6 drivers, which you can see. Make that 7 drivers now. You can see on the left-hand side of your screen. And And Omar Balkasoon then is the fastest of the drivers so far for Ferrari of Fort Lauderdale. We stay with Michael Porter then, Ferrari of Seattle driver. And target time then is a 1:25.661. The cumulative time you can see counting down on the graphics at the bottom of the screen as he just gets a little bit of a back end wobble there across his 488 Challenge Evo and heads to break the timing beam now with a time of 1:24.145. 1:24.145. That's 6/100ths quicker than the Mark Musso time of 1:24.213. So that puts Michael Porter ahead of Mark Musso. Here's Horsch then across the timing line, and from P4 it goes to P1 with a first time in the 1:23.701 for the driver of the number 67 car, John Horsch then. He goes quickest with a 1:23.701. Chuck Whittle we watch right now for Ferrari of Central Florida. He's currently 8th fastest in this qualifying session. This looks like it's going to be a meaningful lap though from Chuck Whittle as he crosses the timing line, improves 2 places to go P6 right now. So whilst all that was going on, Mr. Justin Rothberg went to the top of the chart with a 1:23.487. We're on board with the car of Brian Cook, or we were, and it's Rothberg now from Horsch, from Balkasoon, from Porter. 2 drivers in the 1:23s. Here's Michael Mathis then, heading towards the timing line now, and he goes from P10 to P8, so improves a couple of positions. So it is Rothberg, Horsch, Davis, the top 3 in the number 22 car that we watch with Michael Porter, just kicking up a bit of dust, using a little bit of that curb. It's P3 for Michael Porter now, Ferrari of Seattle driver. We run the clock on him now and see if we get a complete lap from Michael Porter and see whether he can improve on that P3 place, which is where he is right now. Make that P4 because Omar Balkasoon has vaulted both Horsch and Porter to go P2. But this is our P1 driver for Ferrari of Palm Beach and the number 29 car, Justin Rothberg, with a 1:23.130 now, taking a full 3.5 tenths out of his previous best time as we watch the car of Brian Cook. Ferrari of Seattle climbing then up the hill, under the bridge, and then the final 2 turns to do. Target time, a 1:23.130. The target continually moving, of course, as drivers set ever faster times, and Brian Cook then stays in that P7 position at the moment. So Rothberg from Balkasoon. Here is the number 4 car of Tony Davis. A couple of podiums for Tony this year for Continental Autosports. And he's targeting that 1:23.130. He's got a car ahead of him. It's not going to compromise this lap as he crosses the timing line now. That looked quick from Tony Davis, and indeed it was quick. The Continental Autosports driver has got within 2.5 tenths of Justin Rothberg. Now we can see the number 33 car of Omar Balkasoon then climbing up the hill. Now Omar Balkasoon at the sharp end of this qualifying session is P3 at the moment. Is this going to be an improvement from Omar Balkasoon? A 1:23.729. He's not better than his previous 1:23.672, so he stays P3. Justin Rothberg from Tony Davis, from Omar Balkasoon, then it's John Horsch and Michael Porter, and Chuck Whittle is currently P10. And his best time thus far, a 1:25.183. This looks like it could be on for an improvement then as Chuck Whittle breaks the timing beam now and goes from P10 and stays P10 because his better lap was not better than Michael Mathis, who is ahead of him. So it is, there's very little between these drivers then in this qualifying session. It's so competitive. The number 98 car driven by McCade Wang then, who's 7th fastest for Ferrari of Vancouver. And here's Mark Musso then in the number 13 car, Ferrari of Ontario, and Mark is arguably out of position at the moment in qualifying because it's P8. So targeting an improvement here, 1:23.130 is what we're looking for as Mark Musso crosses the timing line with a 1:23.712, 6th fastest in this session. The top 5 drivers are split by just 5 tenths. That's how close it is in Ferrari Challenge. The number 33 car of Omar Balkasoon is right in that mix, and 3rd fastest currently. And we've got 5.5 minutes of our qualifying to come. We're live from Road Atlanta. This is Ferrari Challenge North America. It is our third race weekend of a glittering 2023 season as we watch Chuck Whittle then for Ferrari of Central Florida really pummeling this 488 Challenge Evo through the final two turns. Here comes the final turn now. Hold on to the car for all you're worth as Chuck Whittle crosses the timing line. And it's a 1:24.718. So no improvement yet from Chuck Whittle, but there's still 5 minutes to come from this Trofeo Pirelli Am qualifying session. The session which is led by Justin Rothberg and it's Tony Davis, Omar Balkasoon. They are the top three drivers with just 5/10 between those three drivers. Very, very close in Ferrari Challenge, Trofeo Pirelli Am. And here we can see the Continental Autosports driver Tony Davis then climbing uphill right now, completely focused and 100% concentration as he rounds the final turn, looking for an improvement. And Tony Davis with a 1:23.823. That's a few tenths down on his previous best time, but he's close to within just 2.5 tenths of Justin Rothberg. Here's John Horsch for Ferrari of Vancouver then. It's currently P4 for this driver. Target time once again at 1:23.130. We're not going to hit that with this lap, but John will go again because there is still 4 minutes remaining. As you can see, he lost time somewhere on that lap because he was some 6 seconds down on where he needs to be, and that's not something you would ever associate with John Horsch. Far quicker driver than that. I rather suspect that he was building himself up for this particular lap and to go again. Reaching the closing stages of this, so time is running out for our drivers and what they can deliver and what they can push for during this qualifying session. I love the fact that the qualifying is just 15 minutes long because it's pure entertainment for us motor racing fans. They can see those cars out on track, really working hard. Michael Porter, Ferrari of Seattle, he's currently 5th fastest. His previous best time, a 1:23.709. And there is movement as Michael Mathis now goes to 3rd fastest. Here comes Michael Porter as he improved. It was P6 previous, and it stays P6 for Michael Porter for Ferrari of Seattle. So let's give you an update then from the left-hand side of the screen. You can see that Justin Rothberg remains the quickest. Then it's Davis, then it's Mathis, then it's Balkasoon, then it's Horsch, and then it is Porter. They are the top 6 cars at the moment. Muzo is in the pit lane currently, so is McCabe Wang. 2 of the drivers that are in the pit lane at the moment with just 2 3/4 minutes remaining. Rather suspect that we're not going to see them back out again because there's just not enough time in the qualifying session left to be able to do anything meaningful. And there you can see indicating right, and pulling into the pit lane is the car of Omar Balkasoon. He feels he's delivered of his best, and that best is P4 for Omar Balkasoon with a 1:23.672. Just 2.5 minutes, or 2 minutes and 20 seconds remaining of this qualifying session then. But oh so close across the top. 9 drivers, just 9 tenths between the top 9 drivers in qualifying, which just proves how good the race is going to be because these drivers are going to be pushing for it for all they are worth. Here's John Horsch then in the number 67 car, currently 5th fastest. He's still going for an improvement potentially. There is still time. Because if you cross the timing line, even with just a millisecond left on the clock, that does mean that you can go again, and that particular lap would count towards your overall qualifying effort. And if you set a fastest lap on that time, then it would stand. Once the checkered flag is out, though, any driver that hasn't crossed the timing line, of course, their qualifying session is over. Justin Rothberg from Tony Davis, who's also, I was going to say, is also still out on track, but he has just come into the pit lane. So John Horsch is going for it. 1:23.130 is the target. And John Horsch delivers a 1:23.736. So with him, it's just him and Michael Porter, the only 2 cars left out on track right now. And there is the number 22 car, Michael Porter, Ferrari of Seattle then. We are running the clock on Michael Porter as he accelerates out of the right-hander and begins to climb uphill through the little kink, which is taken full chaff flat on the left-hand side. And just John Horsch and Michael Porter, the only 2 drivers then to the conclusion of this qualifying session, which is just 45 seconds away. And watch the poise, if you like, of the 488 Challenge Evo of the Ferrari of Seattle driver right now. And from our overhead drone shot then, great to watch underneath the bridge. There's the pit in. You can just see to the right-hand side of the screen, and through the final turn, it's going to be a 1:28.994. So it's as we were. And looking at what's going on out there on track, I mean, in fairness, he can go again because he crossed the timing line with some 12 seconds still remaining. So absolutely another lap is very much his right. Is Michael Porter's going to try all over again. Now the checkered flag has come out on the session, but anyone that is on a lap like Michael Porter, as we can see, can go again and can complete this lap. And if it were to be a very, very quick one, of course, it would count. But I rather think that Michael Porter is just parading around the track now and will be bringing the car in. Justin Rothberg, Tony Davis, Michael Mathis and Omar Balka soon, as John Horsch has brought the car in as well. So that is Trofeo Pirelli Am qualifying as near as damn it done and dusted, I would suggest. With Rothberg for Ferrari of Palm Beach right at the top of the chart. So here we can see some of the beautiful Ferrari cars that are on display here in the paddock. Justin Rothberg having completed that session as the quickest driver. And we have some 7 drivers in the 123s, just 6/10 between the top 7. So close it is in Trofeo Pirelli Am qualifying. Well done to our cameraman for picking up on those beautiful cars that are on display here in the paddock area of Road Atlanta. And you can see the Trofeo Pirelli drivers to the right-hand side of your screen. They're champing at the bit to get out there and get their qualifying underway. But, of course, all the Trofeo Pirelli Am cars have got to come back into the pit lane before they are released. Let's take a look at the results in full for you of that Trofeo Pirelli Am qualifying session. Justin Rothberg, P1, a 1:23.130, ahead of Tony Davis by just 2.5 tenths. Then it's Michael Mathis, P3, Omar Balkasoon, P4 in qualifying, John Horsch, P5, ahead of Michael Porter, Mark Musso, Brian Cook, McCade Wang and Chuck Whittle, completing the top 10 of our Ferrari Challenge North America Trofeo Pirelli Am qualification session. Up next, it is going to be Trofeo Pirelli qualifying, our final qualifying session before we get into racing proper a little bit later on this afternoon here at Road Atlanta. Of course, we'll be bringing you all the race action completely live during the course of the afternoon. Very much looking forward to that. Myself and Shay Adam will be bringing you and calling all the action for you. Ferrari of Palm Beach then celebrating because Justin Rothberg with a 1:23.130 puts it pole position for the Trofeo Pirelli Am drivers. So as I was saying, lots of beautiful things to look at in the paddock here at Road Atlanta, and a cameraman and ourselves given privileged access, as indeed you would be if you were here, and if you are here, good afternoon to you. Just to look at these wonderful cars from the Prancing Horse brand is a delight. And just while we have a moment, all our thoughts, of course, towards the Emilia-Romagna region of Italy, which has suffered such a devastation with rains and floods, and our thoughts and prayers with all those that are impacted and affected around that region of Italy, so dear to our hearts, of course. So, beautiful cars. I'd like to say in beautiful sunshine, but it's not quite. It's warm, but it is still overcast, I'm afraid, and there is just the potential threat of a shower or two this afternoon. Let's get our Trofeo Pirelli cars out there on track right now as we see the cars making their way out of the pit lane, including the car of Matt Kujewski, who very kindly earlier on in our qualifying program took us for a hot lap around Road Atlanta. And when it comes to laps and heat, he knows how to drive these 488 Challenge Evo cars, and he certainly gave us a brilliant lap. He's had a couple of wins this season, no surprise there. He shared them out equally. He took one in Homestead, Miami, and another one at the Circuit of the Americas. So he is one to watch out for in the 15-minute qualifying session we have now for our Trofeo Pirelli cars. A reminder to you that to identify a Trofeo Pirelli driver, they have the red strip across the top of their 488 Challenge Evo windscreens. Jason McCarthy, another very, very quick driver. The win has eluded him so far. Will it come here at Road Atlanta? So we will see during the course of this qualifying session. As I say, just 15 minutes once again. All the drivers, whether they're Shell Am, Trofeo Pirelli Am or Trofeo Pirelli, all get the same 15 minutes out there on track, along with their competing drivers to get the best lap in. Justin Rothberg, then Ferrari of Palm Beach, who I was extolling the virtues of earlier on, is with Shea Adam right now.
Justin, you've had the experience of a race win, you've had the experience of the fastest lap, but now in qualifying the fastest lap, what's it like to be on pole at Road Atlanta?
It's great to be on pole because last time, or not Coda, but Homestead, I did terrible in qualifying, and that put me in a bad mindset for the race. And now I'm going into the race on a great mindset, so I'm really happy about it. Car's been running great all week, so I'm excited.
This is a real driver's track, so getting pole here means a little bit more, doesn't it?
Definitely. This is actually one of my favorite tracks I've ever driven, probably this and Watkins Glen, just because they're so fast, and it's really just like confidence. The car can do it, it's just can you make the car do it, which I love.
Well, today, so far you have. Congratulations on pole.
Thank you. Have a great day. We'll see you on the race.
Well done, Justin. Great to hear, Shay, that Justin then, he says the car is capable of doing it. It's whether you've got the confidence actually inside the car to push it, you know what it can achieve. Well, he's certainly done that in his qualifying for Pirelli Am by putting it P1 with a 1:23.130. Where are the Trofeo Pirelli cars and drivers going to put their cars with regards to times? Here's Joe Rubo then for Ferrari of Long Island, and we'll see what Joe Rubo is able to do in the number 28 car and see what he can deliver. Still weaving from side to side, look, generating temperature into those tyres. So even though we're running the clock on this lap time, we're not expecting it to be a meaningful one necessarily, because the installation phase, the warm-up phase continues for our Trofeo Pirelli drivers. Dave Musial Jr. for Ferrari Lake Forest. One of the most beautiful 488 Challenge Evos that you'll see anywhere in the world. Livery across that car is utterly jaw-dropping. Really is. Dave Musial Jr., or Dave 2.0, as he is known, has been something of a star in the Ferrari Challenge, and delighted that he is on the grid. Best wishes to Dave's father, Dave Musial, for speedy recovery and back to being on track. Jason McCarthy then for Wide World of Ferrari is perhaps going to give us our first really meaningful lap time. He has already delivered a 1:39.492, but relative to what the Trofeo Pirelli Am drivers have done, we're expecting the times to really tumble down by some measure. So Jason McCarthy then on a hot lap, and we're timing him as we've got 11 minutes of this session remaining for the number 11 car and for all the other cars. Of course, the Wide World Ferrari driver then climbing uphill right now, about to reach the concluding part of this lap, if you will. Right-hander to come for Jason McCarthy then, and Jason very much a potent driver. As I say, the winners eluded him thus far this season. Will he be able to put it all together here at Road Atlanta? Going to climb up the hill now. Just the front end of the car just looked a little bit loose there as he climbs uphill now under the bridge then. 2 turns to do. The first of those he's done. Here comes the second. And the timing line awaits for Jason McCarthy as he crosses it right now with a time of 1:23.015. So fastest. And here comes Joe Rubo then, who's currently third fastest. He goes second fastest with a 1:23.661. 1:23.661, the number 15 car of Dylan Medler now. Dylan then with last turn to do for 1:23.015 is what we're looking for. And Dylan Medler vaults that with a 1:22.748. Our first Ferrari Challenge driver this weekend in qualifying to put it into the 1:22s. Make that the second now, because Matt Kojewski has just done that with a 1:22.348. Custodio Toledo then for the collection goes third fastest within class, and make that fifth fastest within class. We ride on board right now as the car crosses the timing line. So it is Kojewski from Medler, from McCarthy, from Rubo, from Toledo, from Musial, from Jeremy Clark then, who is seventh fastest. So just 10 minutes of this session remaining, and we watch the number 87 car of Jeremy Clark then for Ferrari at Beverly Hills. Very, very good driver indeed, as they all are. And the Jason McCarthy car crosses the timing line, then been relegated to P3 now because Matt Gojewski with a 1:22.348 ahead of Dylan Medler, a 1:22.748. They are the only two drivers in the 1:22s. And it's Jason McCarthy who's next fastest with a 1:23.015. Joe Rubo then currently fourth fastest as we watch Matt Gojewski then. He is our current provisional pole sitter. Can he improve on his 1:22.348? You certainly wouldn't bet against it. As he crosses the timing line, it's 1:22.409. So actually 6/100ths down on his previous best time, which he has banked. As Dave Musial now goes second fastest with a 1:22.504, gets within 1.5 tenths, and here comes Jeremy Clark. Now, P7 and Jeremy Clark are not two phrases that I would expect necessarily to be connected, so let's see what Jeremy Clark can do. It's not going to be this lap, but the next one I would suggest. Jeremy Clark has set the car up now to go for it on a fast timed lap now. Matt Gojewski from Dave Musial Jr. from Dylan Medler and Jason McCarthy, who we're watching right now for Wide World Ferrari, then driving up the hill. And here is Jason McCarthy. P4 it is for Jason at the moment with a 1:22.348 being very much the target, and he gets to a 1:22.862. And that keeps him P4 at the moment. Custodio Toledo for the collection is P6. And Joe Rubo then with a 1:23.288. It's P5 for Joe Rubo. We're talking about our Pirelli drivers that are out there on track at the moment with their qualifying session just about half distance now. Dylan Medler crosses the timing line with a 1:22.189 and goes faster than Matt Gojewski. So the collection driver is P1 with a 1:22.189. Dylan Medler from Gojewski, from Musial Jr., from Jason McCarthy, and here's Jeremy Clark then, of whom I am expecting an improvement to come at some point in the qualifying session. Very, very talented driver for Ferrari Beverly Hills, no question about that. Missed out on the opening round at Homestead, Miami. Came back at the Circuit of the Americas. Didn't get a podium, which really surprised me, but he goes quicker now and puts it P4. So 1:22.536. And when you consider that the top 5 drivers are split by, well, less than a second, it is tenths between them. It's very, very impressive running from our Trofeo Pirelli drivers. Matt Gojewski, who of course was at the top of the chart for a while, is now finding himself relegated to P2. It's Dylan Medler that has gone a tenth and a half quicker than Matt Gojewski to put it P1. So Medler, Gojewski, Musial Jr., Clark, McCarthy, Rubo. They're the top 6 with Custodio Toledo P7 at the moment. And that order, as you can see, and the gaps between those drivers, you can see on the left-hand side of your screen as we bring you as much information as we possibly can here. Ferrari Challenge and Road America, the number 88 car of Custodio Toledo then that we were talking about just a few moments ago. Now you'll notice a D on the Custodio Toledo car using a spare car and crosses the timing line right now and goes for a timed lap now. So Dylan Medler 1:22.189, the fastest from Road Atlanta, of course. All our drivers and entourage will head off to Montreal in support of Formula One, and then Sonoma, Road America, and then Tuscany and Mugello, the finale mondiale, and Jeremy Clark, then you can see coming up the hill very, very slowly, just building himself up to go for it all over again. Meantime, you can see with the 488 Challenge Evo being thrown across the curbs that Matt Gojewski is certainly going for it. He's not building up speed, he's got the speed, and he's pushing it for all it is worth. So the Ferrari Beverly Hills driver kicks up a bit of dust, runs across the curves to try and carry as much speed as he possibly can up the hill, then down, then up once again, undulating is the topographical conditions that you find here at Road Atlanta. And now he has slowed, I think, and he's going to set himself up to go for the next lap. Sure enough, you can see he pulls right to the side of the track to allow, I think it's Custodio Toledo, to go through. Very good and very good awareness of who else is on track and who's on a hot lap and who isn't. Matt Gajewski coming into the pit lane there. And I would suggest that his qualifying session is over. He's going to bank the P2 and be happy with that. Of course, it is a front row start for him. You do run the risk potentially of someone going quicker in the remaining 3 3/4 minutes of the qualifying session. Medler, Gajewski, Musial Jr., is Clark, McCarthy, Rubo, Toledo. They are the way the 7 look at the moment for our Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli drivers. 3.5 minutes. And what have we got? The very best lap time of a 1:22. So we are running out of track time for any driver that's hoping to improve across this qualifying session, which sets the grid for the Trofeo Pirelli race to come this afternoon. Of course, it will be a mix of Trofeo Pirelli drivers and Trofeo Pirelli AM drivers in the race. 30-minute race with a rolling start for the Ferrari Challenge cars. They'll be taken around by the safety car. Safety car will peel off, and then all the cars will head towards the grid. The rolling start, the greens will go, and we will be racing. 2 brilliant races to look forward to this afternoon. They are the Copa Shell races and, of course, the Trofeo Pirelli races, the qualifying session of which we are enjoying right now. Lots of other on-track activity as well, though, because we have the Club Challenge here and also the Club Competizione GT cars as well. So some wonderful machinery out there on track, let alone these Ferrari Challenge cars, which we love so much. The 488 Challenge Evo has been such a phenomenal car in the Ferrari Challenge. It has been a phenomenally successful GT car in all its guises, taking so many wins and titles in its history. A hugely successful Ferrari racing car. Custodio Toledo, the collection. We're running the clock on right now. For Custodio is currently P8 in the session overall. That's P7 within class. Justin Rothberg, the fastest of our Trofeo Pirelli AM drivers, was just marginally quicker than Custodio Toledo by a 10th or so. Custodio hoping to put that right with this particular lap that he's propelling his 488 Challenge Evo through right now. And dare I say it, I think the sun is trying to break through from the rotten clouds that we've had here all morning long to add a little bit of further brightness to the proceedings. So down to a minute and a half remaining in our session then. And I would suggest that Custodio Toledo has bailed this lap. It doesn't look like it's at race speed or quali speed to me. And I rather think that he will be peeling off into the pit lane. And with that, I would suggest that we have just about every of our Trofeo Pirelli drivers having completed the laps that they are going to complete. And therefore, the order is going to remain as it is, and as you can see it on the left-hand side of your screen. So it's going to be a pole position award, I would suggest, to Dylan Medler ahead of Matt Gajewski, Dave Musial Jr., Jeremy Clark, Jason McCarthy, Joseph Rubo, and Custodio Toledo, whose car with its hazard lights flashing is making its way down the pit lane right now. 30 seconds of the session remaining, and pretty much all the drivers and cars have felt that they've extracted the maximum from the package that they have, and they got set up for the qualifying session today. Using all the data, everything that they could. I think we are done and dusted with this qualifying session, and therefore our pole sitter is going to be Dylan Medler for the collection. Now, Dylan's had a podium, hasn't had a win yet this season. Maybe it will come today. Of course, he's put himself in the best possible position to convert to a win by starting P1. So the collection engineering that car for Dylan Medler ahead of Matt Gajewski, Dave Musial Jr., Jeremy Clark, Jason McCarthy, Joe Rubo, and Custodio Toledo. Will bring you the full and confirmed classification in just a moment. As if by magic, here it is, 1:22.189. What a time from Dylan Medler. Well done, sir. P1. Matt Gajewski, P2. Dave Musial Jr., P3. Then it's Jeremy Clark, P4. Jason McCarthy, P5. Joe Rubo, P6. And Custodio Toledo, P7. Just 8 tenths between the top 6 drivers. Extraordinarily close in qualifying. And the best of the lap times came kind of in the middle of the session, really. So getting the best out of the Pirelli tyres and the track conditions as they were. And as I say, just peeking out a little bit now is some sunshine, which is very welcome indeed. The ambient temperature has been very pleasant, but slightly disappointed with the cloud cover that we've had. But it's beginning to look a bit nicer now. Drivers have got lots of activities, of course, not only qualifying and racing and free practice, but they go through autograph sessions as well. There's an autograph session going on live here at Road Atlanta, and that takes place at 1:20 p.m. I believe. The drivers will be there for their autograph session, and so whoever, if you're in Road Atlanta and you're actually here at the track, and a great opportunity for you to get an autograph from your favourite driver. But I have to say that the entire paddock there, such a friendly bunch of drivers that you will be welcomed. And if you're not at Road Atlanta, I urge you, whenever you get the opportunity, wherever we are racing, to come and join us, please do. It's a great atmosphere. Of course, from here we go to Montreal in support of Formula One. In Canada, then it's Sonoma, then Road America, and then the World Finals, the Finale Mondiale at Mugello. A number of our North American drivers, they will be taken to the track at the big endurance race, which is the Le Mans 24-hour race, where it will be a huge collection of Ferrari Challenge cars and drivers that will be taken to that track in support of the 24-hour race. That's in a couple of weeks' time, and very much looking forward to that. Of course, Ferrari back in the top class of endurance racing with the hypercar, which will be making its first appearance in the Le Mans 24. Of course, it has raced already, but the first appearance in the Le Mans 24-hour race. That to come in just a couple of weeks' time. Meantime, from the collection, Dylan Medler, 122.189, pole position. He's with Shay.
Dylan, you're riding the right wave of momentum. You got your first trophy in Trofeo Pirelli category overall the last race, but now pole. What does this feel like?
It feels great to get my first pole position in Pirelli. We had a little incident yesterday, but we shook it off, and we're coming back strong, and I'm looking forward to the race.
This is one of those tracks that doing well at is a little bit extra gratifying. So in qualifying, how hard do you push?
Oh, I was on the limit the entire time. I mean, it was such a good lap. Everything went perfect. I couldn't ask for a better one.
Well, congrats. First trophy of the day.
Look at that trophy. Well done, Dylan Medler. Many congratulations to you. Big thanks to Shay Adam, and well done to all our pole sitters, and for everyone that has qualified. We're just about done and dusted here with our program. Thank you so much for watching. Please make sure you join us for the races to come this afternoon, and they're going to be two great ones from Trofeo Pirelli and Copa Shell. Bye-bye for now.